Hello and welcome to the Mathwiz Monthly Marathon, where we go through the anime off my backlog I don't do this ever in order. That $5 plus patrons can vote and choose the anime I watch. This time, it was Tamako Market and Tamako Love Story. I am joined as always by my co-host Roggle. How are you doing, Roggle?
Hello. I'm doing all right.
And so, I guess we'll just get this one started. How did you feel about Tamako? Well, we'll start with Tamako Market, and then, because obviously we're going to do the little, get into the spoilers later. So we're going to start with Tamako Market, and then go into the sequel film, Love Story. So how did you feel about Tamako Market, first off?
I'm kind of sad that this is going to be the first somewhat negative review that we've done, because I wasn't too into it. Really, a lot of episodes fell flat. There were a couple of times where I felt like I was forcing myself to continue because I just wasn't invested in what was going on. And there were a few, well, maybe you can guess, but there's one particular character who is a little bit annoying, and kind of ruined some of the early episodes of the show and kind of turned me off a little bit, but I that happens.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I know you said you're less into like the slice of life, more down to earth stuff than I am. And like I personally like some of my favorite stuff tends to be just the more simple your slice of life stuff. But Tamako Market, just didn't really click with me. Like some of the episodes were pretty good. There was like there was the one episode where like the dad's song like they play back, which they had been kind of like building up.
Episode 9.
Episode 9.
Well, we'll get into spoilers in a bit, but
yeah, like there were some episodes that were like pretty cool, and I enjoyed them. And then there were others which is just like just waiting for it to end so I can get to the next one because the plot isn't like the plot of that episode is not very.
Yeah.
But speaking of that,
I agree.
That character, you were referring to Dera-chan, the bird, correct?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, this bird is, I don't know. Like at first, I don't know. Like it, obviously, like the mascot character of the show, and those, I don't know. It kind of depends on the show how they use that character, and I don't know. I don't really care for this bird. There was, I just don't know really what to say other than I just didn't really care. He has like these weird tendencies. Like I don't understand why there are certain like bath scenes and like the bird is just like, oh, got to be the pervert character, and I don't understand why a bird would be interested in human flesh, but I digress.
Yeah, it felt like he was the designated comic relief, and I'm generally not a fan when there is a designated comic relief character, and the designated comic relief character doesn't really get an emotional arc. Because like Dara, okay, I feel like we should probably say we're getting into spoiler territory now because we're going to be starting to explain plot points.
Yeah, there's really not much to say.
I think Dara's like emotional arc was he got fat, and like he kind of really didn't do anything. He didn't really grow or change. So I kind of felt like he just like all he was a comic relief character who was just designed to like bounce off of people, but he wasn't funny either. So it was kind of like leaving me feeling like he was kind of not very interesting as a character because I just didn't feel like I knew what they would. It didn't seem like they knew what they were doing with him, and like they just throw in this thing like partway through that he's actually some kind of robot or something, and that
the stuff with the projector and the fortune telling and
I was like, why though? What was the point of that? Like, I mean, I guess it's to so they could have these like foreshadowing scenes with the prince without having to explicitly state anything about it, but it kind of just came out of nowhere and is never really addressed or explained. So I was kind of just left a bit nonplussed by that.
I think I just wasn't really interested in the whole like that whole subplot with the prince and the other girl who comes in, and then like the bird's journey to find this guy like a bride.
Yeah, I had been sold... Joy as a character, but I wasn't really a fan of her purpose in the story, I guess.
Yeah. See, I had been sold on Tamako Love Story, I forget when and by who, but I remember, like, Tamako Market, I thought one of the big appeals for it was it's, like, this show about community, because, like, there is this big, there's the whole, what's it called, Usagiyama, they have the whole market street, and they're, like, all these people, and they're all, like, one big family, sort of, but I don't know, like, I don't quite understand why part of the show was distracted and decided to focus on this stuff with like the prince and Tamako, but the setup like Tamako might be the princess and she might leave, but like I don't know, for like a show about community, which is what I thought it was supposed to be, maybe that's not what it was going for, but I felt like it would have been better to like
I think
focus on that community and like dig more into those characters, but we don't really do that.
Yeah, because like I can tell what they were trying to do, and what they were trying to do is like create this conflict of like maybe Tamako has to leave this community that she's been a part of her whole life. Maybe like she's going to be forced to go leave and go live with this prince for the rest of her life and not be a part of this community anymore. And that was kind of like the conflict in the last episodes of the show. And it's like it is a reasonable like conflict. Like you can understand why there is a conflict there, because Tamako, it's like she lives and breathes this community, and like that's her whole life.
I feel like that's almost part of the problem, because like when it gets down to the end and it's like, and everyone in the town is like, oh, she might leave, and like, oh, do what's best for you. There's never a moment where I think that Tamako is going to leave, because like you said, she lives and breathes this community. So there's like, I don't know how I'm supposed to buy into like the drama at the end. I don't know. It just didn't click with me. Yeah.
It's like I can understand where they were going. It just fell a little bit flat in the execution department. It made sense as like it kind of felt like they realized we need a way to I think they wanted to tell this show about community, and they wanted to show the shopping arcade, because the shopping arcade basically is the main character of the show. It's the arcade, because this arcade is like this bustling like festival everyday type place with all of these different faces that you see and you get to know, and it's like the setting is the character, and you just kind of get to know it and like know where all the shops are and all the people who like they all do their thing within the shopping arcade. And then I think they had this idea of portraying this community, but then they realized at the end that there wasn't any conflict, and they kind of realized, because I think that's where the show falls short, is when it tries to have this artificial conflict, because because like I said, it feels artificial. It feels like they kind of had the idea for the setting and like these characters, and then they just didn't know what to have them do, and then they just created this conflict that didn't really work with the themes of the show. Really, it just kind of felt like tacked on at the end.
I don't want to be too harsh on the show, because I thought it was fine, but like I don't know, I can only look at this and kind of see like where I would have liked things to be different, or where I would have liked things to be better. Like there are some fun side characters, and Tamako herself I think is a pretty cool protagonist, but I mean, like with it only being 12 episodes and with there being I'm not saying that like, oh, every character in the market had to get an arc or whatever, but like I don't know what the show wanted to focus on, because like none of the characters I feel like really get much to do. Like we get kind of like the introductory episodes of like, oh, we get to meet the shy girl, and there was a cool moment like later on where like she has the one scene in the bathroom when she's like trying to be confident and like interact with people, and then like that gets flipped at the end when the blonde girl, or is that orange hair? I don't know, I'm bad with colors, but then she has like a moment where she is in looking at the mirror, and then the other girl walks in on her, and it's a cool little moment.
Yeah,
and there are cool little moments like that in the series, but I just don't know. What is it? Kana-chan. She is the meme of the show. She's the one who she's good. She's fun. She's just got like that deadpan demeanor, and she just says a lot of weird, quirky things, and it's funny. Like there's the departing scene where like she gives Choi a hammer, and Choi just takes it literally and just takes the hammer, and she's like, "Wait, no, that was a joke."
You're not supposed
she's
to.
Fun.
And then she kind of like falls apart. Like, wait, hang on. This is like genuine human action. I was expecting some kind of layers of irony. Takes her off guard.
Yeah, so like some of the characters have like interesting little personalities, and I mean they're fun. Like I wouldn't. I'm not saying like I don't know. I'm not saying this girl should have had an arc or anything, because like she was kind of good in that. She was kind of like a comedy relief character in a way, but just a different style. Man, like I just see pieces of a show that I'd enjoy in here, but they just don't all connect together in the way that I'd find appealing.
I feel similarly. I could see a world in which I would like this show, but I felt like there was just too many pieces that weren't there to make me truly love it.
I think my favorite episodes were probably the ones that focused on the little sister. Like episode 9 was one of them, where she had her little character arc, and we got to find out the stuff with like the dad. He had like a band in the past, and he made this one song. And I love what they do with that song. They use that song very well throughout the show, and even in the movie, they use it as an OP, which I thought was really cool. And then there's like another version of it as the ED for Love Story, but. So that was like one of the coolest aspects of the show was, the episodes focusing on Anko, because she was good, and the way that they used that song, and like it starts off as something that Tamako, it's like a connection to her mother, and all this stuff with Mochi, and how that's part of her backstory, but she doesn't quite know the song, and then we figure that out later in the series, and see, now I'm getting more into Love Story, which I'll hold back for now, but. This show does have cool things in it.
Yeah, I kind of liked the first episode with the shy girl. I can't actually remember her name right now. But her Shiori, that's the one. She because Yamada Naoko, she a lot of her shows deal with this theme of like struggling to communicate. Liz and the Bluebird is kind of the culmination of all of that, and I feel like that's my favorite work of hers so far that I've seen. But it's in a lot of her works, and I felt like it was a kind of little microcosm of Liz and the Bluebird, was just that one episode, and it was kind of like you could see the little bits and pieces that like she was still like experimenting with and like expanding upon with this whole idea of struggling to communicate and like this whole human connection thing. And I felt like that was interesting to see through the context of how this would develop further when she goes to go direct Liz and the Bluebird. So that was nice. That was interesting.
Yeah, I had completely forgotten that this was a Yamada show. Like she directed it up until I think it was.
Do you know the easy way to tell? It's because there's a lot of shots with legs.
Yes, but somehow I didn't notice that until it might have even been episode 9, where it was just like shots of legs, and I was like, oh wait, is this a Yamada episode? And it's like, oh no, it was a whole Yamada series. So I'm ashamed that I didn't pick up on that earlier, because I'm sure the cinematic language was all there and I just didn't piece it together. Honestly, when it comes to like it's really not a fair comparison, because obviously one is a TV series, one is a movie, but that's kind of the only thing that I really Tamako Love Story had. I can see why people would like it. Like there were moments in the film where I would like, or I could notice if I was invested in the relationship between these two characters, this is where I could see myself getting emotional. Like I feel like these moments are there, but yeah, obviously like the cinematic language in Tamako Love Story is brilliant because it's a film, so there's like more time and more money that's able to be invested in.
There was an instant step up in the directing once I finished the show and started watching the movie. There was a significant step up in the directing.
Yeah, well, I think like the first big change to me that I noticed was just like the school. The school was totally different. Like as far as it might have just been as simple as lighting, but like I don't know. It just I could immediately tell like this is a Yamada film. This is a film animated thing. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Uh, but I'm gonna be honest. If we're moving on to love story now, it was kind of hard for me to like. My level of investment was kind of immediately, like, inherently undercut by the fact that I don't think these two characters really have much chemistry with each other. And
Yeah,
so
I kind of felt similarly because it kind of crossed my mind that it's just the fact that they're like they kind of retroactively justify it by having him be the reason that she loves Mochi so much, and like that's like a huge part of her character, and then she just kind of remembers partway through that, hang on, oh wait, he was the reason that I love Mochi in the first place, and so they kind of have that connection. But I felt like you needed more than that. You needed like chemistry and like some kind of like they've been friends forever, but I feel like they're the only, like it didn't seem from the way that the movie was presented that there was any reason for them to get together other than the fact that they've been friends forever and they've been in this close proximity for a really long time and they know each other very well.
Yeah, that was the thing I kind of like, knowing that this film existed as I was going through Tamako Market. That was the thing I was like kind of paying attention for, because that's what judging by the cover art of the film, that I could have only assumed that those two characters were going to be the main focus. And the TV series didn't really do a whole lot to make me invested in a potential relationship between them. Like, most of his screen time is him kind of like being goofy because, oh, he has a crush on Tamako. But, and like, I mean, we can see that like he tries to help, but he's just kind of a goofball and kind of screws it up. But like his heart is in the right place. But I don't get much of a sense of personality from the guy. Or, like, I don't want to say that he's a flat character, because like there is a character there. It's just, I think it's between like his personality and like Tamako not seeming like a person who really has like romantic feelings.
Yeah,
and they just don't mesh for me.
Yeah, it kind of felt like they, again, it feels like there was some retroactive justifications, because Tamako, again, didn't seem like she was invested in any kind of romantic feelings with anyone, and that kind of felt like it was a part of her character to be kind of this oblivious goof who's just kind of like really happy-go-lucky, and when people like start talking relationships, she kind of tunes out. So that just seemed like part of her character was that. But they kind of made it seem like the scene in question where she kind of develops these feelings. Well, maybe she always had them and she just kind of buried them. But like the scene that sparks it is his confession to her. So it kind of made it feel like if he hadn't confessed, then she never would have even thought about the fact that he was like a romantic interest. And also it kind of felt like the other part of that was that she was spurred on by the fact that she wouldn't be able to see him anymore. So it was only in the fact that he was leaving did she realize that she cared about him a lot. So is like, I can see how that would be romantic in a lot of ways, but like at the same time it kind of felt weak for a justification to have these two characters get together. Like, maybe if that had happened at the start of the movie and then like, I don't know, had more time to develop their relationship, it kind of felt undercooked, is all I'm gonna say.
I almost wonder if I would have liked Tamako Love Story more had I not seen the TV series, because I like what Love Story does with like how it handles like how do I want to say this? Like, once the confession happens, I like the direction the movie goes in with like how it explores what it means to like come to terms with those feelings. And like the confession doesn't happen at like the end of the film. Like, it happens in the first 30 minutes or so, and then the rest of the film is her trying to like process that. And so she doesn't really give him an answer. She's just, and it shows like, you know, the awkwardness there. But again, like, part of the reason why I that was undercut for me was because they had seemingly no chemistry in the TV series. So I almost wonder if I had just watched the film and if I could just like easily sweep that under the rug as, oh, it's a film. There's not much time to flesh out the relationship and also explore it from the angle that it explored it. I have no idea. So maybe I came in a little biased after watching the TV series. Because there are a lot of cool things in Tamako Love Story, and I really want to like it more than I do. But I've said my piece.
Yeah, I think to expand on that, I definitely think there is a thing where, like, if you have, like, slightly underdeveloped characters or slightly, don't want to say generic, but, like, characters that you can project yourself onto. I feel like Your Name is a good example of that, where these characters, they're not, like, super detailed and rich, but they're, like, you can project yourself onto these characters, and that's often the case with a lot of romantic films, and that's kind of the appeal of them for a lot of people, is that you can project yourself onto these characters. But with Tamako Market giving you that context, that wasn't possible, because you've seen them for a really long time, so you know these characters, so it's a lot harder to project yourself onto them, as opposed to a film where you would give them the context rather than the show giving you the context.
Yeah.
What did you think of the grandpa's the last minute additional complication, I guess, with the grandpa falling ill rapidly?
And how they used that to develop the film. I didn't really have a problem with it, because it was just like, oh, he choked on mochi or something. Like, it was just like a little scare. But
I actually liked it. I thought it was a way to put things into perspective for the characters, because I felt like they kind of realized that they'd been stressing over things that didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. And especially for Tamako, I felt like it kind of let her realize what's important, and it allowed her to see things a little bit more clearly after that.
I do like the narrative beats in the film. So it's more, like the film itself, I have very mixed feelings on this, and I'm trying to put them into words.
I can understand. I'm in a similar position. I think I probably liked it slightly more than you. I gave it a higher score. I gave it a 7. But
I did like Tamako Love. I definitely like Tamako Love Story more than Tamako Market. Like it was. I bumped it from like a 5 to a 6. But that I think the big thing that like did make Love Story more interesting was just like the cinematic language of it being a film. Like there's whenever you have a shot of the characters just like standing out over like a riverbed and with the sun in the background, it's always going to be a good shot. Bloom Into You did it. The Tamako Love Story did it here. It looks great. And then like the scene after the confession where she just like freaks out and is running home, and like her entire environment is just like blurred out, and it's like these sparkles, and then it turns into these like just this like paint on like a blank canvas background, and so it's like everything just becomes warped. And that was such a cool sequence. Like the film does a lot of cool things, and it looks cool while doing it. So like I don't, as much as I struggle to like stay invested with this relationship, like I can at least kind of like dissociate my feelings and appreciate the film from like that more artistic lens.
Yeah. Through an aesthetic lens. Yeah.
See, I know you had mentioned Liz earlier, and so I can't, because it's a Yamada film, a sequel film to, well, Liz technically isn't a sequel film. It's like a side story. I don't quite know, but you know, a follow up to a TV series from something else. So like for Liz, it was UFO, and so like I can't help but kind of draw comparisons between Tamako Love Story and Liz, because see, like from the perspective of Liz and the Blue Bird, not to spoil things much, but like it takes a relationship with these two characters who, you know, two side characters in the story, and like fleshes that out more, and it made me really invested in that relationship. It was a relationship that like the TV series didn't give too much attention to. Like they had an arc, but it wasn't a whole lot. But I felt like you could watch Liz and the Bluebird without the context of UFO and still like really enjoy it. I thought it was
absolutely
a great
film. Can, because that's what I did. I haven't watched UFO, but I watched Liz. So
and
there's that.
I don't know. Like with Tamako Love Story, I had like come into this thinking that like maybe maybe it wasn't a kind of film that you could watch without the context of Tamako Market, but like for me personally, having the context of Tamako Market only kind of dragged it down. But like there were certain things that it calls back to, like the opening, for example, was the song from the father who that had been connected back. It was an integral part of Tamako's character. So I feel like you almost can't watch it without having the context, or there are certain things you're going to miss out on. So it's a very mixed bag from me. But like, I guess my point was that, as I had said, Liz was able to take a relationship between two characters and make me more invested in it. So I was willing to give Tamako Love Story the chance to potentially get me invested in the relationship between Tamako and his name...
Mochizo.
Yeah, Mochizo, that's right, because it's a pun with mochi. So like I was hoping that the film would maybe sway me, but not really. It didn't work, sadly.
Yeah, which is a shame, because I think like you, I wanted to like the show. I gave it the best chance that I could to try and appreciate it in as many angles as I could, but ultimately it fell a little bit flat, which is a real shame.
I think one final like little disappointment I had with the film, like when it comes to side characters again, Minori, was that her name? Yeah, no, Midori, my bad. She was she supposed to have an arc over the course of the film?
Yeah,
because like there are some interactions she has with Tamako, and there's a part where she's like right after Mochizo, I guess, like confesses, and she finds out that he did that, and she says, "Oh, yada yada yada, I hate myself." And I don't know. Is she also like a third love interest that just didn't get development? I don't know what I don't know what her role was supposed to be.
In the show, it's implied that she has feelings for Tamako.
That's what I thought.
It's heavily implied that she has feelings for Tamako, but they don't like. I think the kind of idea behind her is this kind of like she realizes that Tamako is not going to return her affections, and so she's just trying to look out for her as like someone who loves her dearly. But it didn't really work. Like it I can understand why they did it, and I can understand like what they were trying to do with all of that, but I wasn't super impressed with how they executed it.
I just felt like there wasn't a payoff. Like, why? I don't understand why that was a focus for her character if it didn't really lead anywhere. I think episode 6, was the one where like she was butting heads with Mochizo, and that was one of my least favorite episodes of the show because it just. I'm not even like, I don't even dislike melodrama. Like people will throw that around as like a buzzword for, oh, it's a bad thing. Anime melodrama means it's forced or whatever. But I wasn't invested really. Like, my pre-existing problems with Mochizo, and then plus she was there, and nothing really ever came of that. So I just don't understand.
I think the issue with melodrama in general is that it's quite subjective as to what is melodrama and what isn't melodrama, and which is good melodrama or bad melodrama, etc. Because it often really heavily depends on your investment. Because if it's like two characters that you don't care about, it can be really powerful if you have like if you're really invested in these two characters and there's like this conflict between them and you really rooting for them to get together again or something like that, it can be quite powerful and moving and emotional. But if it's two characters that you aren't invested in or you don't care about, and then they have this like conflict, you're just like, why are they forcing these characters to have this conflict? Why do they need it to put this in here? So yeah, it's subjective, and I can understand why people would enjoy it, but it didn't feel like it was super well executed from the standpoint of it being a drama, because it felt like a lot of the conflict was just added at the last minute, and like they just thought, let's give this character something to do rather than like work the characters naturally around the conflict.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I did find that it was the episodes that were more focused on those sorts of like character conflicts and more like plot relevant drama that didn't really click with me. And in Tamako Love Story did a better job with it because like it only really focused on the two main characters, but even then there's only so much appreciation I can get out of it. I'm really disappointed that I didn't like this anime and that I didn't super care for the film. Because, it's KyoAni. I want to like KyoAni stuff. Like, UFO and Liz, that's good. Nichijo's good. KyoAni's made good stuff, but... this one doesn't really get much of a pass from me. Like, I can't think on what basis I would recommend this to people. Except, like... The film is pretty good. Like, it's a Yamada film, and it's a Yamada series, so, like, there are cool, like, directorial moments, but I think that's about it for me. I think an is about what I give Tamako Market and Love Story.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts that I've cut you off of in the past?
No, I think I've pretty much got everything I wanted to get across. Yeah, I can't think of anything else that I need to add.
I think the best thing I got out of this show was the reaction images, because there are quite a few. And also, Tamako in glasses is a good look. Anime characters with glasses is always good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Tamako Market and Tamako Love Story. A resounding from us. So next time things are going to be a little different. So there won't be one next month because I changed it up. I'm going to be busy with like Anime Expo and stuff. So that won't be happening. But there was still a Patreon poll, which I think still has a day left. So it could change, but at this point, it looks like I'm going to be watching Ojamajo Doremi, which is like a 200-plus episode magical girl series. I don't know if I'm going to force Roggle to watch that along with me, because I don't plan to like finish. I'm going to work on it over the course of the rest of the year. But I mean, hey, Roggle, if you want to watch Ojamajo Doremi alongside me, then feel free.
Maybe we can do a first impressions and not have watched all of it by the end of the second month.
Maybe we can come up with something. We'll figure something out. But yeah, it has 20 hours left in the poll, so unless that changes, that'll be next. So we will resume with whatever the next thing will be in, I guess, August, unless we do some sort of first impressions video. I don't know. Stay tuned for it. Yeah, that's... I don't think there's anything else I have left to plug. Roggle, you got any farewell thoughts?
I'm doing a podcast with some friends. It's about the Ghibli movies, and one for Laputa is coming out soon, and I'm on it. So if you want to listen to more of me, if you're interested, just search for the Nausacast and subscribe to that channel because it's coming out soon.
Hey, there you go. There's some more anime stuff. I should watch the Ghibli movies. I've seen one of them. I feel like I am an anomaly in that I haven't seen really any Ghibli movies, but that's an aside. I'm getting sidetracked. Thanks for tuning in to the video, and we'll catch ya next time.
See ya.